Sweet home Alabama. Lord, I'm coming home to you. Here I come, Alabama. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot of time.
Alabama is home to the NASCAR Winston Cup Series this weekend. Today on TNT, it's a doubleheader final practice for the EA Sports 500 presented by Dodge, and later a 300-miler for the ARCA Series. Talladega Superspeedway, the biggest track on the NASCAR circuit at 2 2/3 miles around. The racing it produces is like no other place, and you're about to get a taste of it. The breathtaking action coming up as drivers make their final preparations for tomorrow's race. Here in Talladega, Alabama, the weather is beautiful, and 43 NASCAR Winston Cup drivers are about to hit the world's fastest speedway for final practice, and you'll see it on TNT. Alan Bestwick here with Benny Parsons and Wally Dallenbach. Because of the nature of this racetrack, NASCAR uses rules here that restrict the speeds of the cars. It bunches the traffic. It makes incredible racing action that the fans love and the drivers don't necessarily care for.
That's the worst part. You got 43 guys that really and truly don't care for this. As a matter of fact, they're a little bit terrified of it, and I don't blame them, because you will see in just a few minutes these cars running nose to tail, side by side, 3 wide at over 190 miles per hour. But unfortunately, the 43 drivers that hate it, you've got a few million, 15, 20 million people that just love to watch this, because, folks, it is breathtaking.
We talk about it at final practice a lot of other places, Wally, people looking for their cars to handle a certain way and consistent lap times. What about here, where the gas pedal just stays on the floor the whole way around?
Well, you're still looking for exactly the same thing. You still want your car to handle, and what you'll do is you'll get yourself in different situations. You want to run the high groove, the low groove, and even you want to see what your car's like in the middle. But basically, you're looking for a good handle, and you're also hearing a lot of these guys talking about their cars sucking up. You want to see, when you're following a car, how your car will draw up to the back of the car in front of you. And a lot of work will be done to the cowl, or that area where the air goes inside the engine. They'll change cowls. They'll try to kind of finesse that a little bit. And also, they'll change some gears possibly to see how their cars will run in the draft and how they'll suck up to the cars in front of them.
Sterling Marlin heading this line in the 40 car. Couple of victories here in his NASCAR Winston Cup career. It's Kevin LePage in the 7, Mark Martin in the 6. And let's check with Dave Burns down on pit road.
Well, Alan, there weren't too many motor changes in the time earlier this morning when they had the first practice session of the morning, but 3 changes were definitely made, those for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated cars. The 1 of Kenny Wallace, the 15 of Michael Waltrip, and the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, Kenny Wallace only got 13 laps on his car before he brought it in and they started the motor change. We went to see if there was anything wrong, and he said, no, this is DEI's plan. We don't want to put laps on the race motor. So they came in early. Now, the 8 car, Dale Jr. ran 47 laps before he came in. So I checked with his team to say, hey, why is your guy still out there? And he said, we change the motors a lot faster than those other guys do. We don't need as much time. And they are, in fact, done putting on the final touches to get Dale Jr. back out. Marty?
Well, Dave, Tony Stewart will start 37th on Sunday, but Jeff Gordon said right after that first practice session, this guy has one of the best cars. Of course, he finished 2nd in the spring here, too. So I guess it really doesn't matter where you start, does it, Smoke?
Nah, I mean, this stuff really isn't that much of a race anyway until the last 10 or 15 laps. So, you know, we do what we normally do. We'll sit back there and just ride around in the back and make sure we're by ourselves and with some guys that know we're taking care of our cars. And, you know, after the last pit stop, we'll worry about going racing then.
What do you really accomplish here in Happy Hour? Finding out who you can run with, who you can't run with, things like that?
I don't know. Zipadelli asked me what we could do to go faster. I go, I don't know. I mean, we led a lot in that first practice, and you know, this is just a crapshoot anyway. I mean, it's like rolling dice. You don't know what's going to happen here.
All right, let's go over here to the car to where Tony Stewart will climb into the car. And you'll see in the seat right here is his Hutchins device, which he has been wearing all weekend. It's down there in the seat. He puts it on when he gets into the car. Of course, that was made mandatory by NASCAR this week. And Tony Stewart, wearing the Hutchins device, puts it on once he gets in the car, and he has been wearing it for every practice session and every lap of Happy Hour. Matt Yoakum.
Marty, right alongside the Rushville Rocket, Tony Stewart, is the 29 car belonging to Kevin Harvick. He's got an orange spoiler signifying he's one of the No Bull 5 contenders. This very chassis, Dale Earnhardt drove to victory here at Talladega last fall and also won $1 million. Kevin, a stout race car, but for you, this will mark your third Winston Cup restrictor plate race. Is it still a learning experience for you?
There is. I mean, this is a whole different league here. We got fins on the roofs and fins on the spoilers, and I think the biggest thing for me is just stay in one spot and be patient and try and just put ourselves in position for the end of the race. Last time I was pretty impatient here and bounced all around, and it didn't do us any good. So we're just going to be patient tomorrow and see where we can't put ourselves.
Well, Bobby Hamilton led only 3 laps here in the spring and won. Harvick has never led a lap in Winston Cup competition here at Talladega. He finished 12th here in the spring, hoping to lead the last tomorrow. Alan?
As more cars come out onto the track, more cars get into this one big pack and find out how their machines are behaving in the draft. It's final practice from Talladega. More coverage in a moment on TNT. From Talladega Superspeedway, it's coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup Series final practice, getting ready for tomorrow's EA Sports 500.
And you wonder why in the world do these guys do this 2 and 3 wide just practicing? Because, folks, this is the only way you can learn what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, we talked about Marty Snyder just a few minutes ago, talked about the Hutchins device. And I found out something this morning I didn't know. Do you know who made the Hutchins device? Who do you think perfected the Hutchins device?
General accepted theory is Bobby Hutchins, the team engineer for Richard Childress Racing.
He was just the first guy to wear it. That's why it's called the Hutchins device. He was the first guy to wear it. Autoliv, the big company out of Detroit, developed that on the sled in Detroit, and he happened to be the first guy that used it. And someone said, "Did you see that device that Hutchins had on? That's where he got his name."
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
Wow. You learned something today.
I did.
And so did I, because
From the professor.
I'm just like all the rest of you. That's exactly what I thought, that Bobby had made the unit.
Jeff Gordon, championship leader coming into the weekend. This is really a big wild card race for him because he could win, he could finish 40th. And he has almost no control over what happens in between the green and checkered flags to determine that.
In yesterday's qualifying show, Dale Jarrett said made a very profound statement. He said, in tomorrow's race in 500 miles, we will run every position between 1st and 43rd at some point.
Jeff Gordon finished pretty deep in the field here back in the spring race. 27th place is where he wound up.
Let's see what kind of mile per hour that Jeff Gordon is seeing. Well, he's not seeing this because all he sees is a tachometer. 195, 96. He had to back off the gas a little bit. When he went from 196 to 193, that's when he touched the brake with his left foot to keep from hitting the car in front of him.
I find that mind-boggling. Keep your right foot planted all the way to the floor. Just squeeze the brake a little bit.
And the reason is, if you come off the throttle because of the restrictor plates, it takes so long for the car to recover. It's easier just to ride the brake a little bit, and then you don't lose your momentum as much.
That is breathtaking.
Keep an eye on the car with the big D, the square D logo on the hood. Bobby Hamilton, he was the spring winner here at Talladega, and he also has had a very strong car throughout the weekend. Look at him, all the way to the outside.
In this morning practice, the practice held early this morning, the big D, square D car, Bobby Hamilton ran 195.6 miles per hour.
Hamilton going to start second in the race on Sunday, the EA Sports 500. Back in the spring, he won here, but only led 3 laps of the entire race. Mid-April, here at the world's fastest speedway, After a race that featured a wild number of lead changes and shuffling back and forth in the final laps, Hamilton and Tony Stewart get out in front of a 5-deep rush to the checkered flag. And that's the kind of finish we're going to see here on Sunday. Andy Petrie celebrating his first win as a Winston Cup team owner. Bobby Hamilton in his Winston Cup career has only led 8 laps ever at Talladega, and he's won a race.
Hey, that car looks good right now. He's been high, low, in the middle, and he's gone forward in all 3 lanes.
Right now, Terry Labonte in the Kellogg's car has run the fastest speed, a little over 194 miles per hour. I saw Kurt Busch in a 97 car slide up. Oh, how did Bobby Hamilton know he was clear? Rick Cordell, the spotter, maybe said clear. Just turned right in front of the 28 of Ricky Rudd.
Now, when we first got the camera on him, he was deep in this pack.
Yes.
And he's just sliced his way to the front.
Fast car. And these times really are a little bit deceiving at a super speedway because you can get such a draft in one lap. You could be the fastest guy in practice and not necessarily have the best car. But right now, just watching these cars, the 55 cars looks awfully, awfully good.
Bobby Hamilton, a contender to make it a sweep at Talladega for the 2001 season. Running very well right now. NASCAR Happy Hour on TNT is brought to you by Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner. Burn fat, crush cravings, and supercharge your energy. By CarQuest Auto Parts, you'll find it at CarQuest. And by Go RVing, call 1-888-GO-RVing or visit GoRVing.com for a free video. Coverage of final practice for tomorrow's EA Sports 500 from the Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. Just about everybody on the racetrack and in one big pack, except the man who will lead the field with the green flag tomorrow. He's in the garage with Dave.
And Stacy Compton pulled in just about 2 minutes ago. He's only going to be here a couple of minutes making a plug change, other things. Stacy, why are you guys in here and not out on the track right now?
Well, the car, we can get up about 2 car lengths from somebody, and we can't suck the rest of the way up. So we need to make it a little bit better there. Car's handling good, but we can't quite get to the back of them like we need to. And if you leave a little hole here, you're going to have about 4 cars in a one car hole. So we're trying to get it to where we can suck up a little bit better.
And if you can't suck up to the back of them, then there's no way to start a pass around them or lead the pack around. Is that right?
That's exactly right. We're not bad when somebody's behind us pushing us, but when we get by ourselves, we can't quite pull up like we need to.
All right, now, of course, heading the effort down here is Chad Knaus, his crew chief, and I want to show you Chad real quick up at the front of the car, chatting things over with his crew right now. Chad is actually a part of a team here that has some history. Stanley Smith, when he drove part of the Alabama gang way back when here at Talladega, his team was made up of a bunch of guys that are now very standard Winston Cup shock guys and crew chiefs, and one of those is Chad Knaus, very smart guy, and a lot of his experience came with a guy named Smith here at Talladega.
And Dave, I saw another one of those guys at dinner last night, Doctor Who. Ronnie Crooks, the shot guy for Tony Stewart, another guy, the graduate of the Stanley Smith School of Race Car Mechanics.
Stanley, a veteran from Chelsea, Alabama, ran here on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit on a limited basis for several years. His racing career set back by a very nasty accident he suffered here in Talladega a few years ago.
Oh, yeah, there we go. See that yellow line on the back? That's out of bounds tomorrow.
Who's that down there? Nemechek.
He's coming in.
Look at these numbers. The pole speed yesterday versus the fastest speed in the draft.
And that is in this practice session. Stacy Compton in qualifying. One car on the racetrack alone ran 185.2. These cars in these big drafts that you see, Terry Labonte ran a speed of over 194 miles per hour, almost 10 miles per hour faster.
Nemechek, starting 9th tomorrow, has had a very strong performance the last couple of races here at Talladega. Finishes of 3rd and 6th in his last 2 races here. Oh, trouble. Jeff Purvis spins. John Andretti's into it. Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Harvick, Schrader.
Buckshot Jones, the 44 car, and Jeff Gordon drives by on the outside.
Flew up the racetrack. We're wrecked up pretty good.
Gordon was running by himself, well back from the pack, probably just for that reason. Championship leader didn't want to take a chance on bending up his car in final practice. He was not in the big pack of cars. Kurt Busch is in it, and the red flag is out.
Wow.
And the radio traffic you heard was from Rusty Wallace's car, who said that Kurt Busch nipped the apron with his car and came back up across the track. There's John Andretti's car. Let's take a look.
Well, the 22 is actually up on the apron and hit the 51 car.
And from there it was on.
Yeah, well, once you're in a situation like this, you're just trying to look for a hole.
And Kurt was just trying to get stopped behind it.
Yeah.
He didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Watch the 22 car as he jumps down on the apron. What happens when you get on that apron? Actually, well, he may have gone down on that apron because the 51 car was maybe coming down on him. It's hard to say by that angle, but
Robert Preston, the 77 car, somehow gets through. I mean, he just missed the front, and Buckshot just missed the back of the 77 as he was spinning.
BP, see what it looks like to you.
Ward's trying to run up inside of him. And Purvis comes right down to that yellow line. So they both wanted the same place on the racetrack.
Yep. And John Andretti, hard lick to the left side of the 51 car. There's Terry Labonte, who had just run the fastest lap.
Oh, Buckshot almost made it.
And Presley did sneak through, BP.
Somehow, some way, Schrader not as lucky. I don't think that Buckshot really hit anything too hard. All right, just watch and listen. All right, let's go on board and we can really hear this noise. Oh, this is slow motion.
Yep. Wow.
Wow, how did he get through there?
That was Benson.
And see, he couldn't turn to the right. He had cars to the right, so he just, boy, he threaded that needle.
So the damaged cars are Rusty Wallace, Kurt Busch, Terry Labonte, John Andretti, Jeff Purvis, Kevin Harvick, maybe Ken Schrader and Buckshot Jones. Didn't look like they got a lot of damage, but any damage on the fenders here at Talladega is significant. Dave Burns.
Alan, right after that happened, I happened to be on Kenny Wallace's frequency, and he described in detail how he got through it, and you called it miraculous. Tell us what happened.
Well, you know, the outside lane was moving there, and I guess Benson was leading the draft, I think, and then the 51 of Jeff Purvis was running second, and then Ward Burt was third, and I was on the outside, and the outside lane was moving. Purvis come up off the bottom just a little bit, going through the short chute at start-finish line. He come up just a little bit, and Ward was going to take advantage of it, and he dipped low, and I'm on the outside of them, and then the 51 tried to come back down to guard his position. I mean, just barely tapped him. But, I mean, that's the way it is here at Talladega. I mean, you can just blow on somebody, and took him out. We were just real lucky to get by it. So,
what do your feet do? What do your hands do? What does your brain do? What does your heart do?
Well, you know, we've done this long enough, you would think that we'd get used to it. We're comfortable out there as long as everything is okay, but I went all no. And then the 22 was running me up the track to keep from missing. Actually, the timing was right for me. I was real lucky, but I hope everybody else behind us is okay. And, you know, the Pennzoil car's running good.
All right, and he hopes that luck holds out, Alan.
All right, Dave, thanks. Kenny Wallace, okay. Rusty Wallace, the team needs to get the backup car out. Here are the cars that received at least some damage in the accident during final practice here at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega. Coverage of final practice continues. Rusty Wallace's car being cleaned up after the accident. Jeff Burton was part of the accident, although not too big of a part of the accident. I was listening to your frequency, and you said, I'm coming in next lap. What happened?
Well, exactly. I had decided to, let's move so we don't get run over in the garage here. I had decided to quit running, and so I had gotten in the high line and was letting everybody go underneath me. And I looked up, I saw smoke, so I just slowed way down because I knew nobody was behind me. And I missed all the wreck, but somebody came at the last minute, came down in front of Elliott Sadler, and I was right next to him. He had to come up to keep from hitting him, and I was on the banking, so I was kind of going down anyway, and we hit, and nothing major, but just, I wrecked last week in practice, finished 5th, so I figured, what the heck, might as well wreck this week in practice too.
Now the challenge for a lot of these teams, Jeff, is that there's damage like this, like on your car, which is basically cosmetic. Same thing for Kevin Harvick. Do you fix this? They have spent hundreds of hours trying to get these cars exactly right. Do you fix it, or do you bring out the backup car?
Well, it depends on the damage, but really NASCAR has a rule. Your car has to be in the position where you can't race it. You can't pull out a backup because you've got to do some body work to it. Now, if the body work is major, then they've got to make that judgment. But you just can't pull out a backup car because you got a fender dented in if you can beat it out. We will, as you can see right there, we will work and beat and hack, and we got plenty of time to take our time and make it right. There'd be really no need to bring out the backup car.
A lot of work for a lot of teams to do to get their cars ready for Sunday's race. To Matt Yoakum.
Marty, Kevin Harvick is standing by the rear of his number 29 Goodwrench Service Plus Chevrolet. And Kevin, first off, what happened from your vantage point?
Well, I just saw the 51 spinning sideways up there, and so I just headed to the grass and hoped we'd either spin out and not get hit by anything. And somebody came along, hit us in the left rear, and that's minor compared to a couple of them. So this Jim Goodwrench car, it'll be fine tomorrow, and the guys will get it tuned up, and we don't have to practice anymore, so we'll fix it and be okay.
Now, how much cosmetic damage is there to your machine here?
Mainly just the right rear corner here and the front of the skirt where I came off the banking and pushed the fenders up. So we'll just straighten all that out, and it should be fine.
Now, for the restrictor plate races, RCR always brings along Adam Myers to help out with the body. Now, Adam, you are the chief fabricator. Will you be able to put this car back the way it was before this incident?
Sure, no problem. We can do it. We come prepared for stuff like this, so we'll be all right.
And let's go to Dave, who is standing by with Buckshot Jones. Dave?
And he just debriefed with his team and with team CEO Kyle Petty. Buckshot, what happened?
I don't know. Our Georgia Civic Dodge is running pretty good. Just we've been up front and then went to the back and couldn't tell what happened up in front of us. I don't know if some people got together and thought we had it cleared, and someone was up high and come back down and, caught the right rear there. Hopefully we're going to be able to fix it. Probably going to have to replace that whole right side, but definitely don't want to get a backup car out if we don't have to. But if they fix it, it's going to be a lot of work.
You stepped out of the ambulance. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah. I didn't get banged up. I tried to drive it around, and the left front was down. Thought we'd do more damage, so we decided to park it and get out.
Okay, the crew will go to work. Buckshot will go take a look himself.
2 of the 3 Petty Enterprises cars involved in this accident, just kind of continuing the very difficult year it's been for them. In fact, as part of our pre-race coverage tomorrow on NBC, we'll look at the 2001 season for the Petty team. Our aerial view of Talladega is from the Budweiser.com airship, brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drink and Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series for 20 years. Coming up tonight on TNT, it's an NBA exhibition doubleheader. Michael Jordan and the Washington Wizards take on the New Jersey Nets from the MCI Center in Washington. Second end of the doubleheader is from the Thomas & Mack Center in Vegas. Shaq, Kobe, and the LA Lakers take on the Sacramento Kings, an NBA preseason doubleheader tonight on TNT. That's a pretty messed up Kellogg Chevy.
A car that just had run 194.2. 55 miles per hour.
Yeah, that is the fastest car in happy hour.
Yes.
And Jeff Purvis's car.
I wonder if Purvis will have a backup car here. He may be out of the race. He may not have a backup.
Of course, the James Finch team only running the restrictor plate races this year. That's a good question, but I'll bet we've got somebody down in the garage that'll follow up on that for us.
One of our crack pit reporters will probably find an answer for that.
While they finish cleaning up and we await the resumption of practice, let's check in with Liz Allison.
And I'm at the Infield Care Center with John Andretti and Rusty Wallace. Rusty, are you okay, and what happened?
Yeah, I'm fine. Everything's good. The car didn't get tore up too bad. I didn't get hurt. But what happened, looks like somehow Ward Burton got caught on the apron. I didn't get to see what happened in front, but all I know, when I was on the bottom looking up, I saw his car hit the apron, and when it hit the apron, everybody got sideways and there was nowhere to go.
John, you're okay? You walked out too. What happened out there?
Just like Rusty said, I mean, Rusty was right behind me, and unfortunately, when it all happened, Jeff got turned around, and when he came back sliding back up across, I mean, he blocked the whole racetrack, and then you get hit from behind as you're hitting the guy in front of you. So it's real unfortunate because our car is junk.
Well, it looks like they've got a backup car out there for you, so he'll get ready for tomorrow. But Dave?
And Ken Schrader's team now goes to work pulling the motor out of the car that they just had a problem with on the track. Kenny stands here now. And Kenny, I understand your backup car, if you want to call it that, really is pretty much a primary car too, isn't it?
Well, we got two good little M&M's cars for here. So, yeah, you hate for this to happen, but we're not backing up. We're pulling out a good piece.
Describe what happened and how it looked from your view.
Looked real smoky. That's what I saw. Real smoky and big objects going all over the place. I thought we might make it through for a little bit, and we made it through relatively good. But I guess the 22 got into somebody and just turned them around. And, it's not one of the places you get stuff gathered back up.
Kenny Schrader's all right. The team will go to preparing another car for him to start the race on Sunday. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. All of the drivers did climb from their cars. Everyone except for two have come from the infield care center. We'll continue to update you. Back to Talladega after this. Back at Talladega, still under the red flag after the 8-car accident that has stopped this final practice, awaiting the resumption of action as the cleanup continues up in turns 1 and 2. We recently had Jeff Gordon come up and do a little work for us. He and our Charles Barkley and Jim Courier went into a TV studio, and we thought the results were kind of amusing.
You're too big for this. Man, I've been working out. You haven't been paying attention to the fat track. I've been losing
Charles,
weight.
even if you could put this suit on, you couldn't even get through the window of the car, man.
I'm slimming down.
Hey, guys. Hey, guys. Give me that. You needn't leave this up to the... Give me that. You needn't leave this up to the... Hey, guys, come on now. We need to leave this up to the buffet. Can I say pros?
Hey, cue card! Got a football player in here.
Hey, guys. You need to leave this up to the experts. Watch NASCAR on TNT.
That was good, yeah. That was good. That was good.
I just want to know if you've told everybody in the garage area what a skilled actor you are.
A skilled actor?
Yeah.
How's that?
Because of the Barkley thing that we just saw.
Oh, no.
We actually showed it. I wasn't kidding earlier. I was serious. We showed it.
That's embarrassing. But we had a lot of fun. I tell you, Charles and Jim, they're good guys. A lot of fun to work with. And, hey, it takes. I saw something on Michael Jordan, a bunch of outtakes on him the other day, so I don't feel so bad, but I couldn't get that professional thing down.
A little hard, wasn't it? Of course, Jordan is returning tonight.
Yeah.
And you're a big fan of Jordan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who isn't? He's incredible and brings so much to the game, excitement. And like I said the other day, it doesn't look like he's lost a step to me. Maybe some speed or something, but, man, he's still got all the skills, and he's knocking them down. I'm looking forward to getting to a game real soon to watch him.
Let's get back to this racing stuff real quick, because I think you're the smartest guy in the garage area, because about 4 or 5 laps before that happened, you said, get me out of this mess, because did you have a feel something was going to happen?
Well, I just was in a situation that I knew wasn't good. I was towards the back of a big pack. They were getting 4 and 5 wide, and that's not where I wanted to be. I was just going to let off and go all the way around, try to get to the front of that group, just back off and get in the front of it. And then Robbie said, why don't you ride back there and see if you can catch back up to him, because we were just trying a few different things. And Kyle and I were really catching that group right about then, and I saw smoke, and they were a long, long way ahead of me. And I barely missed it. I mean, I was on the brakes hard, downshifting, and I still almost got into the 9-9 car. So, everybody was doing real good, but it just only takes one tiny little mistake for somebody to make, and that's what's going to happen, a big wreck like that. And, we saw it right there, and let's hope we learn something. We can go on all day tomorrow and not have anything like that happen.
And just for reference, he's seen enough. They are done for practice for today. Alan?
All right, Marty, thanks. 8 drivers involved in the accident. This was the scene as they all began climbing from their cars, getting together and saying, hey, what went on there?
What happened? I don't know. And Rusty's telling Terry what happened.
Giving his view on things. Here comes Jeff Purvis walking up. Injecting his point of view as well, since he was one of the principals. Actually, he's probably sitting there saying, hey, what happened to me?
Yeah.
How'd I get turned around? Jeff Purvis has just come from the Infield Care Center, and Matt is with him.
Alan, first off, to answer Benny's question, yes, they have a backup car, and it's already in their garage stall. They've already warmed up the engine as Matt Hutter is passing some tape along to Jeff Purvis. And, Jeff, first off, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. It wasn't a hard hit.
Well, what happened?
You know, I was behind the 28 car. We driving off in the corner, and I was on the yellow line, and all of a sudden I felt the back end coming around, so I knew somebody was there. But I don't really know. I just, got a spotter up there, and he's pretty much guides you through all that. And about the time the car got sideways, he said, one looking, which is too late then. But I just hate it for everybody involved. You know, this is a good race car. We just got torn up, and a lot of other people did too. But, we got another good one right here, so we'll be ready for the race tomorrow.
Now, this car ran in the Daytona 500 back in February, but now, how much of a thrash are the final few minutes going to be for you and this race team as you try to get this car dialed in and up to speed?
Well, the main thing we got to do is go out there and make sure nothing's rubbing, the car's not bottoming out, and it's driving pretty good. I was about like everybody else. I was fixing to come in after that lap, and I was just one lap late coming in, but we can't look back. We got to go in and try to get this car ready, and it's a good race car. I'm not worried about this car.
Jeff Purvis, a super speedway master in both ARCA and some Winston Cup and Busch Series competition, Dave. He was supposed to start 13th. Now he will start at the back, but that's not as bad here at Talladega as, say, maybe Martinsville last week.
Now, Matt, for folks that have never seen the materials on the front end of one of these race cars, I want to point out a couple of different things. Right here is the fiberglass fender, which is molded, which has to be a component that all the teams use. It matches right here to the metal fender that they have fabricated to exact proportions. And then in between that, there's back here some blue body filler, which you can see, and then paint on top of that. And Tommy Baldwin Jr. is a crew chief. Tommy, how many hours go into making something like this perfect for a aerodynamic race like Talladega?
Well, probably it's something like on a speedway car. It's probably about 3 hours to 4 hours, one fender. The guys do a real good job back at the shop, put a lot of time in these things. Fortunately, we do got a lot of Bondo in there because that was from the Pepsi 400. We got a little ding in there, and these cars are so touchy. I didn't really want to cut on an old one, cut the old one off, put a new one on, because I didn't know what kind of change it was gonna. So we sculptured it kind of a little bit. And, thank God for the old Bondo Kings, and we're going to fix it back up. We're going to grind some of it out and fix some of the welds that broke, and should be like new tomorrow.
I'll hope it'll be as fast as it was for Ward earlier. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. They're getting ready to resume practice here, and the practice is not being extended, so all this downtime is costing these drivers laps. Back at Talladega, the cars rolling out onto the speedway once again to resume what's left of their final practice. Only got about 10 minutes, actually a little less than that, about nine minutes of track time left.
That comment that Jeff Purvis made on the spotter, it's a great comment, because this is really a place you have to have a very, very good spotter. And he actually has to anticipate, because if by the time you think of it and push the button and tell somebody that there's a car under you, it's already too late. So a really good spotter is important here. You've really got to see what's coming and be ahead of the call sometimes.
At the same time, the spotters can be so far away from where the action's happening. There's only one person who can take ultimate responsibility for whether he's clear of another car or not, and that's the guy sitting behind the wheel.
No question about it. But you got Jeff Purvis, who's a very good race car driver, but doesn't run with the Cup guys every single week. And I think the guys that run every week have a little bit better feel sometimes of where you need to be and when to make that move. But Jeff's a very experienced driver, but sometimes that spotter is basically your backup, and you got to have a good backup.
As a matter of fact, this racetrack is so large that they use two spotters. They have another one back there on the backstretch someplace, and another one here on the tower on the front stretch.
Only got about half the field out on the racetrack. Besides the 8 cars that were damaged in the wreck, I saw a lot of guys there walking around in street clothes. Saw Mike Wallace in street clothes during one of our garage interviews. Looks like a lot of guys have said, okay, I've had enough.
Yeah, when they saw that 8-car pileup, they said, okay, that's enough. We don't need any more.
Coming up next here on TNT, it's 300 miles for the ARCA Series. Rising stars of the sport. It's going to be an exciting one. Stay with us for that. Then tomorrow, NASCAR on NBC. Our coverage of the race for the championship brings you the EA Sports 500 from Talladega, presented by Dodge. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern Time. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the most recent restrictor plate race. That was the Pepsi 400 at Daytona Independence Weekend. He's out there making some laps.
Kevin LePage in the 7 car trying to follow Brett Bodine in 11. Jerry Nadeau 25. There's Michael Waltrip. The 15 car won the Daytona 500 back in February and finished second to Junior in the Pepsi 400.
Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
And Alan Terry Labonte was second quick in the first session, and it just turned in the fastest time in the second session, Terry, when the accident happened. Now you're going to a backup car. Will this car be as good?
Well, I hope so. We're going to take the engine and transmission out of the other car and put it in this one here. We're trying to get out here and make a lap. I don't think we're going to make it unless they extend practice or something. But it was a shame that car, you know, we actually ran that car here last year and it ran good. And this car here, I think, is the car we had at Daytona. And I think we ran this car down here the first race. So it's a good car.
I mean, mentally trying to turn around what has been an up-and-down season for you. You had a great car in practice, going to a backup car. Does it change mentally how you approach this race?
Not really. That's just kind of the way our luck's been all year, I think. And, you know, every time we run good and have a good car, something seems to happen. But, you know, this backup car is good, and we're going to try to get out here and make a lap and, you know, and then run tomorrow. But, you know, hopefully we can stay out of trouble tomorrow and have a good finish.
Well, Gary Dehart and the guys are working feverishly on this race car, trying to get this car out with a few minutes remaining in this final practice session. Marty?
Well, Matt, while Terry Labonte's team says they will not make it out in time for happy hour practice, Rusty Wallace's team will make it out. They have done an outstanding job. 11 crew members have worked since the accident happened to get the backup car out. They had the engine warmed up. Crew Chief Robin Pemberton was in the side of the car, installing some of the safety netting. This is the car that Rusty ran at the Bud Shootout, and it looks like they will get some time on the track, something they really wanted to have. As they button Rusty up, they lock the window net up, and he will head out onto the track here in just a moment. Pretty remarkable job by these guys, I would say.
Now, I wonder if that's because the 5 car come here without a motor in it, and the 2 did. Maybe we need to find that out.
No, I think Terry said they're going to take the engine out of the red car, but you heard Gary Dehart while we were interviewing Terry walk up to him and say, we're just about ready, go get in.
Okay.
So,
because I would think even though you're going to put another motor in it, it'd be a good idea to get some laps on the car.
You know the team that got their backup car out the fastest? Jeff Purvis's. And here we were wondering if they had a car ready. They're already back out on the track. Back at Talladega, the final moments of final practice. Preparations for tomorrow's running of the EA Sports 500, presented by Dodge. Let's go to Dave Burns.
And Mike Wallace now in street clothes, as you noted earlier, Alan, indicates that he is done for the day. Mike, you have a checklist when you come here, a checklist for finding out where your car can run. Did you complete everything on the checklist?
We did everything we needed to do. You know, we're 7th in practice right now, which doesn't mean nothing. Depends what line you get in here. But after the incident took place out there, you know, the wreck that took place, we quit while we were still ahead. We put our car in every position we could, top, bottom, middle, 4 wide, 3 wide, 1 wide, and the car drove good. So Mobile 1 car is really good, and we're going to quit while we're ahead.
And he's going to come up here and watch what the other guys are doing out there. Liz?
We face down here in the garage area. I found Mike Skinner. Mike, it's so good to see you back. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Just little by little, we're doing physical therapy about 3 times a week, getting where I can get a little bit more mobile. My knees bending better, my ankles getting better, and everything's right on schedule, pretty much.
The big pileup just then. Are you kind of glad you're back here in the garage area instead of out on the track?
No, I'll tell you, I wouldn't want it to be in the pileup, but it's hard to watch. I tell you, I'd sure like to be out there with him.
I know you get to feeling better real soon. He looks great. Alan?
All right, Liz, thanks. I'm sitting here thinking we've almost had another one. When they came through the trioval a couple of laps ago, Michael Waltrip and Jerry Nadeau about clanged off each other, and at some point one of these crew chiefs is going to say, okay guys, let's bring that car in while it's still in one piece.
Rusty Wallace got his car on the racetrack, but they did not go through inspection. So NASCAR immediately black flagged them and said, you got to have your car inspected before you make some laps. Marty?
Yeah, and Jeff Purvis did the same thing, Benny. So what do you think? Do you think these guys just said, well, let's forget about inspection and let's just go on out there and see if we can get a couple laps? Or do you think that maybe they were just in the heat of the moment, got the backup car out, were so into what they were doing and just sent it out without even thinking about the fact that they had to go through inspection before the car went onto the track?
Well, put it this way, Marty. Both Jeff
they
Purvis,
got practice, didn't they?
Both Jeff Purvis and Rusty Wallace got a lap on the racetrack.
There you go. That's my exactly my point, Benny. They did get at least a couple laps on the track.
The important point, though, is the inspection that we're talking about is not the technical inspection. It's the safety inspection. NASCAR needs to go through and check the fuel cell and the roll bars and the seat belts and all that kind of thing that they do.
Which takes a long time.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have gotten any practice if they went through all that.
There's Terry Labonte out, Matt.
And Alan, the same goes for Terry Labonte as far as the 2 and 51 cars. His car was also not inspected, but they're trying to get a lap or two just to make sure the car is okay. But you can expect Labonte, as time is winding down on this final session, he won't get a whole lot of track time.
What's the importance of one lap? Why do you need to get out there and get one lap on this backup car?
Usually if they miss something, it'll fall off on the first lap, on the second lap.
Yeah.
So,
if something's not tight, when he makes a lap around the racetrack, it'll come loose.
Simple enough. Yeah, there's nothing in the center of that windshield. When they get an inspection sticker right in the center of the windshield, they put a little dot on there. There's none on Terry's car.
Well, Terry, it's over.
How's it handling?
How's it handling, Terry? Yeah.
Final practice is over here at Talladega. Terry Labonte wound up with the fastest lap. Problem is, it just wasn't in that car. Hey, who's that fixing Buckshot's car? That's the team owner, Kyle Petty, pitching in.
Give me two. I'm right there. Right there. Yeah, try to give me 53.
Here are the final speeds from final practice. Terry Labonte wound up with the quickest lap, but that car is now wrecked. He's got a backup car out. Bobby Hamilton looked awfully good.
He was very good in practice, very strong. Look at those guys, Schrader and Andretti. A lot of those guys got backup cars. No, Schrader's doesn't. Andretti does.
Schrader will have a backup car. They were pulling that out.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Final stories from the garage. Let's start with Dave Burns.
Hey, Alan, I know how much you like math, so let's do a little algebra. 4 to the 4th power. That's 16. There are 4 makes in the race, and these guys were out there today trying all different combinations. A Ford in front, a Dodge in front, a Chevy in front, and all places in between. 16 different ways you can run out there with one manufacturer each. That's one of the reasons they were practicing today. Matt?
Dave, while some drivers are having to go to backup cars, Kevin Harvick is fortunate he doesn't have to. His number 29 machine, as his crew is busy working on the bumper and the right rear quarter panel, they are going to be able to piece this winning machine that went to victory lane here last fall back together. He's hoping to win $1 million for himself and some lucky fan tomorrow. And aerodynamically, he says his car should be okay. To Marty Snyder.
Well, Matt, let's continue to pick on Allen. I think we finally figured out why Rusty Wallace wanted to get back out on the racetrack. Robin Pemberton said it's a driver thing. They want to feel the steering wheel, feel the seat feels, feel the race car feels, just to make sure before they get in at Talladega that it feels okay. Rusty says this car feels just fine. He'll be fine for the race. To Liz Allison.
Cal Petty is busy being a car owner today. He's trying to get Buckshot Jones' car fixed so they do not have to use a backup. Petty Enterprises only has 5 cars here this weekend for all 3 teams. Andretti is already using a backup car, so they are busy, so they do not have to use any more cars. Alan?
All right, Liz, thanks. The big story of final practice, the big wreck. Ward Burton getting onto the apron, touching Jeff Purvis. 8 cars involved by the time it was all done.
And in tomorrow's race, that number would be 15 or 16 cars involved. See the 22 car, Ward Burton makes contact with the 51 of Jeff Purvis. Purvis spins up the racetrack, as they always do. And then the wreck took place.
Rusty Wallace involved in it. Ken Schrader, Kevin Harvick. John Andretti with probably the most damage. Buckshot Jones and Terry Labonte.
But we're glad to say that all drivers are okay.
Rusty saying, okay, let me tell you what I thought happened here. Coming up next on TNT, 300 miles for the ARCA Series. Stay with us. The big wreck, the big story of Happy Hour.